This is exclusive episode for Green Healing Show today. I have Paul Levitin, I'm Panta Kalhor, and I have Green Healing Show. You can subscribe to the show if you're interested in holistic medicine or how you can recharge your life. Be with us till the end. Okay, today is the first time I have Paul here, and I'm very excited to talk about how we can recharge our life. So, welcome to my show, Paul, health
Well,
and happiness coach. Yeah,
yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here as well.
yeah. So, tell me about yourself. I know you have a podcast, that's why we are connected.
hmm
Tell me, how do you exactly do and how we can recharge our life?
Yeah, so I am a happiness coach and I work with people to build their habits and to create a life of fulfillment and alignment. And what that means to me is helping people in whatever way, usually deal with the realities of life. In the sense that we live in a world where things are not set up to make us happiest or healthiest or the most full of energy, right? We live in a world where society and our jobs and all of the things that we have to deal with on a day-to-day basis, they drain us every day. And we're kind of set up to fight a losing battle in today's society. And that's why so many people find themselves overworked and overstressed and overtired. And just, it's unfortunate. And through my experience, I started as a fitness coach and nutrition coach. And what I learned was that, so many people are so focused on things like, fitness, they're losing weight and their body and, what do I eat, the perfect diet. And there's so much focus on this stuff. And yet, whether you have it or you don't, whether you lose the weight or you don't, people are still struggling mentally up here, right? They're still unhappy. People think, well, when I lose the weight, everything's going to be different. Or, if I could just, if I could just stick to my diet, then my life would be better. But what I learned from working in this world and helping hundreds and hundreds of people achieve that was that it didn't fix them. It didn't make things better. Oftentimes people would get more frustrated because it's like, well, now like I thought the thing that was going to solve everything, and then I did it. I did all the hard work, and it didn't solve everything. So now I'm in a worse place mentally. So I shifted my own personal philosophies and my career towards helping people with the inner work of how do we live a happier, more fulfilling life.
You know what I realized in fitness? I used to do it as well. I was very tired after work, and then I rush into workouts, and I get tired, more and more tired. And then now, as a health coach, I'm a fertility coach, and I'm also doing functional medicine. I can see fatigue and exhaustion is the worst thing that can hurt your body, because at that point you think that, okay, if I go and do the exercise, I feel more charged, but that make you more exhausted when it's not when your body is tired, right? We realize in the morning when it's early and your body is ready, is the best time to exercise, isn't it?
For sure. Well, the thing is that, I mean, I think that everyone is different. There are some people who will perform better different times of day, but in general, you have to think that, I think of energy like a gas tank, and it's going to get depleted throughout the day. And so, if you're thinking to yourself like, oh, I'm going to do it at the end of the day at 8 o'clock at night after a busy day of work and after making my kids dinner and all this stuff, it's just probably not going to happen. And another thing that people have to understand is that stress is stress. Your body and your brain don't discern different types of stress. So people think they're like, oh, well, like, work stress, I'll leave that at work, but now I'm going to go work out. But that's not how it works. Your body just understands stress. So work stress, life stress, kid stress, workout stress, global pandemic stress, recession stress, the inflation stress, war in Ukraine stress, all of these stress just go in our body. So, and there's a limit to what your body can take. So we have these expectations that we put on ourselves around like what we should be able to do. Should is a very loaded word that I don't like to use, but we have this thing like, well, I should be able to work out after work. It's like who said that? If you're burning all of your energy at work, dealing with all of this other stuff, it's like sometimes it's not. So sometimes, not sometimes, all the time, resting, recharging, and having that level of self-care becomes equally as important as the exercise piece, because as the old saying goes, you can't pour from an empty cup, right? So when we're so burnt out in one way, it's like, if wanting was enough, most people would have it, right? Because they're like, I want to be able to do so much more, but you have to understand that there's limits to what we can do from a physical standpoint, from a mental standpoint. And when you're tired, you're too tired. So now, that's not to say that that's an excuse, right? Because some people will take that and just be like, well, like, I'm just too stressed, can't do anything now. But like, that's not the point. The point is that what you have to do, and this is what I work with my clients on, is find a better way, right? You have to, now we get into things like time management, prioritization, and like, where do I actually need to be if my energy is finite and I only have this much each day? Where do I need to be spending it, more like a budget rather than an unlimited supply? And I have to budget it correctly so that I'm getting the most out of my finite time, my finite energy.
You actually refer to something interesting. Yes, prioritization and how to address your work and time management. That these are really good points, because as soon as you can manage your time, you can. But sometimes it's so difficult, Paul. Let's say I have a 3-year-old, 4-year-old kid. She is very stubborn, and she resists against everything. So you are in a hurry to get her ready to school, and she's saying, no, 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 I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do that. And then that deplete your energy. How can
Right.
you recharge yourself to just save your energy and have the energy for the rest of the day?
Yeah, for sure. And, but this is the thing, is like, this is where I'm talking about expectations, because sometimes the reality of the situation is that a mom with a 3-year-old cannot perform in the same way that me, a 32-year-old single guy, can, because I have more time, I have more energy, I have more inclination to do stuff. So we have these expectations of, oh, I'm supposed to work out 5 times a week, or I'm supposed to work, come home after work and work on my side hustle. Again, it doesn't have to just be about fitness. This is about everything. But the point is that these expectations are actually what set us up for failure, because regardless of what you expect to happen, expectations don't care about reality. The reality of the situation is, like you just said, your 3-year-old doesn't care what your expectations are. Your 3-year-old doesn't care that you're like, hey, mommy has yoga class in an hour. You got to get dressed now. She's not having that. So what it comes down to more is dealing with your expectations, because then, if we don't, that's what sets people up coming back around to happiness, right? To me, the root of unhappiness is having expectations that don't align with our reality. Right. So that's the thing of like, if I expect that I'm going to be able to be in control of my time and I'm going to be able to control, and then it's not happening, that's when I get frustrated. That's when I get angry. Right. If I expect that I'm going to do all this work and then my business is going to shoot off rocket ship to the moon, and then I don't get that success, that's when I become unhappy. So managing expectations then becomes the thing where it's like, because if you understand what's within my control and what's outside of my control, the way that again, if I'm talking about business, the way that the market responds to my business, to my marketing plan, I can't control that. Now I can do my best work, but that doesn't mean people are going to buy what I have to sell. So that's outside of my control. What's within my control is my expectations. And that's why my expectations are always the thing that I come back to, because this is always what I can manage. And if I have expectations that are too big, not that not that you shouldn't dream big or have goals or anything like that, but the point is, when you have expectations that don't match up to what's actually happening, your brain doesn't like that. It doesn't think it's a fair trade. It goes, well, what the hell am I doing all this work for if I'm not getting what I expected? And that's when you're going to get frustrated, you're going to get burnout, and you're going to quit.
I like that. Actually, I want to know, what are your three strategy to get pumped and be happy and always recharge? I know exercise may be one of them. For me, meditation is really great, because in the morning when I do meditation, I just block everything. I don't think about anything else. I also have other strategy of myself, but I just want to know what is your what do you recommend to your own clients?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, exercise is great, but I don't even say exercise. I just say movement, right? The human body craves movement. We are the blood. We need our blood to pump a little bit. Our muscles need to move. So it's not like you have to go into the gym and do a crazy workout every day or something like that. Walking works. Dancing works, right? Do dance while you're doing the dishes. Do some gardening outside. Walk up and down the stairs. Do some jumping jacks. I don't care what you do, but movement is important. And again, this is not just like, oh, if I want to lose weight or something, that's not about that. The human body craves movement, right? When we move more, we get healthy. When we move less, we get sick. It's a very simple binary thing, right? Like, you move less, you get high blood pressure, you get diabetes, you get cancer. You move more, you get strong, you get fit, your lungs get better, your heart gets better. So it's just movement. So that's a big key. I'm huge on, as much as possible, getting out into nature. Getting out into nature. And again, I live in the city. I live in Brooklyn, New York. So my nature is just going to a park. There's no, like, I'm not going out into the mountains or something, but just there's something about being surrounded or being around green, being outside, being in sunlight as much as possible is another huge one. And then for me, a big thing that I try to do is to have something that is mentally stimulating every day, in a way that's not work, right? Because a lot of people, they go through, like, they work all day and that's hard mentally, but then as soon as they come home, they want to unplug and they just watch TV or they just scroll on their phone or something like that. I think it's very important to have something that is mentally challenging and stimulating, but is that something that I do by choice? So it's not like, it's not work, but it's something, again, it can be a puzzle, it can be, sometimes it is exercise. That's why I do like exercise, because exercise kind of fills both buckets. Because if you're someone who's learning a new skill in the gym, or you're learning a new dance move or something, that challenges you mentally as it challenges you physically. But it doesn't have to be that. But there should be something. Again, your brain is a muscle. Just like your muscles in your body need to be worked, the muscle in your brain needs to be worked. And so we want to just give it what it needs, right? That the whole thing, everything that we're seeing as a society, people who are just becoming sicker and sadder, and it literally is that our body and our brain is telling us what it wants. It's like you're taking away its nutrients, and its nutrients are movement, it's exercise, and it's mental movement and mental exercise. So if we just have those every day, I can't imagine that you'd be in a worse place a year from now, if you practice that every single day.
Exactly. You know what you say about the mental exercise I like. I do two things. Productivity to me is very important. If you don't feel productive during the day, then you feel exhausted.
Right.
I imagine I sometimes I edit my podcast, I do something very creative, I write books, that feels so good because I just, oh, I finished something, I
Right.
accomplished something.
Right.
I try not to um, get very exhausted, but sometimes even if you are exhausted physically, if you do something that um, challenge your brain, that give you a lot of energy. That's why
Yeah.
I always to my clients, I always say, okay, do something creative. some
Right.
some of them are writers, some of them are doing arts like painting or something. So if you can find something productive, I think that's the way you can recharge yourself. And as you said, movement is one part of it. Here in Toronto is very cold. Sometimes it's not really easy during the winter. You can't even walk because if you walk, you fall down, right?
Mhm.
It's so slippery. Even in New York, it's almost the same thing because we are
Mhm.
in eastern part.
Right.
But even those days, we can have some movements, right?
Right.
What
Right.
what kind of movements do you recommend during the winter, let's say?
Right. Exactly. Perfect example, right? Because, like, exactly, in New York, during the winter, it's much harder, right? And again, I worked at a gym for many years, and I saw this, right? So at the gym, between November to like the end of March or April, was dead season, because it was just cold and there's snow and no one wants to come into the gym. And then, around this time it picks up again, because, people are coming out of their cocoons, they're coming out of hibernation. But, the thing, this goes back to what I was just saying about expectations, right? if I have the expectation that, oh, a workout is something where I go to the gym and I work out for an hour and a half and I lift weights and blah, 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 and now it's too cold, it's too snowy, it's too whatever to get to the gym, then it's like, well, I can't live up to that expectation. But if I understand that movement is movement and I can sit in my room and I can throw on a YouTube Zumba dance and I can do that, or I can walk up and down the stairs and do that, or I can do a plank and I can literally do anything. Like I said, I can do the dishes and put on some music and just kind of dance while I do it, and that's movement. So we have to again break down these expectations of what things are, right? It's like what is exercise, what is success, all of these things. When we hold ourselves to one strict definition, it makes it very hard to hit, right? If success to me is only becoming a billionaire, it's a very narrow route that can take me to that success. But if I understand success as being, there's monetary success, there's life success, there's financial success, there's relationship success, there's health success, there's all different types of success. I can be a very, I know plenty of people who are very happy, very healthy. They don't have a lot of money, but they love their life. And it's like, why is that any less success than the rich person? To me, it's not. But again, if I have an expectation in my head of what success is, I paint myself into a corner. So for the exercise thing, it's like I have to get out of this box of like, oh, okay, it's only this one thing. Like this doesn't count. A lot of times, there's a famous study that they went to hotel maids. I don't know, maybe you've heard of this study before, where they go to hotel maids in some hotel in somewhere, right? And these are women who are spending the entire day walking around the hotel, changing sheets and cleaning up, and they're moving and they're on their feet for 8-hour shifts every day. And they asked them, they said, hey, how much exercise do you think that you get every day? And most of them said none, because they didn't equate what they were doing to exercise. And then all they did was simply inform. They did a controlled study where half of them, they said, okay, keep doing what you're doing. And the other half, they said, did you know that what you're doing is actually exercise, and getting this many steps burns this many calories per day? And just them thinking about what they were doing as exercise rather than not, it actually equated to them losing more weight, becoming more healthy, building more endurance. So like, it seems crazy, but the way our brain thinks about things has a big effect on what it actually does in our body. So it's super powerful to stop. We have to, again, it's like, instead of thinking about it's so easy to think about what I can't do, right? Oh, well, it's too cold, I can't do this, I can't do that. That's fine. There's always things that you can't do. That's a game that you're never going to win, right? I can't get this many customers, I can't get this much money, I can't. It's like, there's always going to be things that you can't do. A much better use of your time, energy, and effort is think about, okay, what can I do? There can be a million things that I can't do, and there can be one thing that I can do, and that's the thing that I need to focus on.
What can I do? Yes. So, how do you define happiness in one sentence?
And that's a tough one, and I get asked this a lot because I'm a happiness coach. But if I had to break it down as simply as possible, to me personally, I think that happiness is being in control of your life, right? It's self autonomy. I think that a lot of people are not in control of their life, and this is the root of where unhappiness comes from. I call it being in the passenger seat or being in the driver's seat of life. If you're in the driver's seat, you're in control. You know what you get to call the shots. That's a good feeling. And when you're not, when you're in the passenger seat, when life is kind of happening to you, when you're running around in reactivity, you're putting out fires, you're always behind the 8 ball. It's a very bad place to be, and that's the root of most unhappiness in my experience.
So, are you working on anger management as well? Because
Um,
when you talk about being happy all the time, it's not going to happen, right? Sometimes we get angry.
Right, for sure. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. Again, when I say happiness, I'm not saying that you can or should be happy all the time. That's impossible, right? Happiness is an emotion. Um, and it's, it comes and it goes, just like the tides come in and out, just like motivation comes and it goes. You're not, but I can be a happy person without always being happy, right? I consider myself to be a very happy person, but that doesn't mean I wake up every day just like excited. Of course, there's days where I'm just going slow, and there's days when I don't want to do the work, and there's days, and that's natural and that's human nature. But to me, the distinction lies again because at the root of it, even when I'm not like beaming happiness, I'm not angry or upset. I don't have, my bad days are still good days because of my philosophy on life, because I understand that again, there can be no good without bad, right? It's yin and yang. You can't just only have good. If you only had good, then it wouldn't be good. It would be average, right? So it would be normal. It wouldn't be amazing anymore, right? You can't have sunshine without clouds. You can't have whatever analogy you want to use. So it would be silly to say like I'm going to teach someone to only be happy, or I could myself ever only be happy. But the point is that I can put this stuff within my conscious control, right? So if something upsets me, which it can, that's an emotion. What I choose to do the rest of the day after that, that's a decision, right? If I get stuck in traffic, I can't control that. And I might get mad because I had someplace to be and I can honk the horn and get upset about it. But now I'm stuck in traffic for an hour. Do I choose to brew over it and just kick and scream and curse? Or do I choose to say, oh, okay, well, this sucks, but that's life sometimes. That's the difference to me. It's not that, again, I don't get to decide how emotions hit me. I get to decide how I react after those emotions.
New York is a very crowded city. I've been there a few times, and you stuck in traffic for long hours. We do the same here in Toronto. What I did, I bought some Spanish CDs during the traffic, and I started practicing Spanish. You can't believe it. I I did my exam during the traffic. So a lot of things you can do if you can listen. But and when I was in traffic, I was like, "Oh my goodness, that's my opportunity to learn. Let's
Right.
just
Right.
do it." Because you can't just listen to repetitive music all the time.
Right. That's a perfect example, though, right there, right? Exactly that. Another person in the exact same situation wouldn't have done that. Plenty of people, again, would just get angry. They would just turn the music on. They would call their friend and start complaining. It's like the same situation, which is I'm stuck in traffic. I have nothing to do, and it's like I can see that as, oh, this sucks. Like I'm gonna get angry. I'm gonna get upset, or I can see this as, oh, well, I guess I have 30 minutes here. Might as well study for my Spanish test. Might as well use this to my advantage. It's not, again, the situation is the same. How it, the actual effect is the same, meaning that you didn't get out of the traffic any faster because of that. But the way that you use that time, the way that it affected you, right? Because I can guarantee 30 minutes of sitting in traffic, listening to, studying and feeling good about accomplishing something when you arrived at your destination, whether it be school, home, or whatever, would put you in a different mood than someone else who sat in traffic and stewed in anger that entire time as well. So it's a compound effect of everything that's going on.
So how do you relate or topic to self-confidence? Like what or words, what we talk. We
Oh
talk
yeah.
about happiness. How do you relate this to self-confidence?
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, self-confidence is everything, right? Because it's, again, going back to when I worked at the gym and, everything with my coaching, this is what I learned is like, people would come in and they'd say, "Oh, I want to lose weight. I want to be able to go to the beach this summer in a bikini or something like that." I'm like, "Well, like why what does that matter? What does your weight have to do with that?" Like, "Oh, I would just feel more confident." So again, people said they want to lose weight, right? They said they wanted to have bigger arms. They said they wanted to have abs. They said all these things, but what they really meant was they wanted to be more confident. That was at the root of everything, right? And that's why, and that's a huge thing that, again, gets in the way of people being able to feel truly happy because they don't feel confident in themselves. So then again, people think that it has this external thing where it was like, well, because of how I look or because of my money or something like that. But in reality, that doesn't make any sense. How can self-confidence come from anything external? Right? It's my self-confidence. It is my confidence in myself. And yet I'm looking for external validation to give it to me. So that inherently doesn't make any sense. In reality, what I need to do, to me, again, this is my own theory, is that what makes someone confident is being the type of person who keeps their word to themselves. Meaning, if I start every January 1st and say, this is going to be the year that I get healthy and I quit smoking cigarettes, and then at the end of the year, I haven't gotten healthy, I haven't quit smoking cigarettes, that's telling my subconscious brain that I am not someone who can be trusted. I don't keep my word to myself. How can I be confident in what I say, in my actions, if I can't even keep my word to myself? And that's why people, like, as you said before, when you accomplish something at the end of the day, it feels so good because that's sending the opposite message. That's sending a positive message to say, oh, I set this goal and I achieved it. I said I was going to go to the gym and I went. I said I was going to quit cigarettes and I did it. And that builds my confidence. So in order to build confidence, I have to be the person who keeps their word to others. Yes. But more importantly, to myself. If I say that I'm going to do something, I have to do it because my brain is always watching. My subconscious mind is always there. So the fact that if I keep saying like, yeah, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it, and I keep not, I can't be a confident person because even if I can want to present myself confidently, my deep down my subconscious mind knows that I am not the type of person who keeps their word to themselves. And that seems weird, but it's like it's actually very, to me, liberating, because it's like all I need to do to build confidence is to start stacking wins and doing and setting goals that are achievable, so that my subconscious brain goes, oh, he said he was going to do it and he did it. He said he was going to do it and he did it. He said he was going to do it and he did it. And then I become a confident person because now I have no reason to doubt myself.
So let's talk about a specific scenario. Let's say you have an interview. You are very scared to go to that interview. Let's say it's a presentation in front of a large audience, and you have to confidently go on a stage. I'm not saying, like, maybe it's a recital interview in front of
Right.
others. How do you prepare yourself to be self-confident?
Right. So that's a little bit different. So what I was just talking about there is kind of like that's a long game, the long term play, right? So that's like I'm just doing that every day. But if you're talking, and so if you're in that place already where it's like I need to be confident today and right now, it's kind of too late to do what I was just talking about. But that's, so what I would say in this type of situation is you have to think about what is the reason that I'm actually not confident. Meaning, everything is rooted in fear, right? So I'm not confident. Let's go a layer deeper. Why? Because I think something is going to happen, because I think that I'm going to make a fool of myself, because I think that I'm going to mess up or something like that. So, well, there's a 3-step system that I like to use with this. And it's because, again, this goes, you asked about words before, this goes into stories. Our brain functions in stories, right? So it's, what is the story that I'm telling myself is number one. Well, the story that I'm telling myself is that I'm going to go up on this stage, I'm going to mess up, I'm going to spill the drink on myself, everyone's going to laugh at me, I'm going to get fired, and everything, I'm going to lose my house, and my wife is going to divorce me, and my kids are never going to speak to me again. And all of that is going on in my head, and it feels very real to me, but I haven't even walked out on the stage yet. So, and that's why I'm not going to be confident. So step one is, what's the story that I'm telling myself? Question two is this story serving me? I can tell very quickly that it's not, because that story is holding me back. I have to understand that a story is just a story. It hasn't come true yet. It's just something that I made up in my head. There's nothing real about what I just said. So number three is, can I tell myself a better story? Right? Because the future isn't real. It's only a possibility. So it's possible that happens, but it's just as possible that I go out, I make an amazing speech, and they give me a standing ovation, and I get a raise and a promotion, and then I actually get flown out to meet the CEO, and then he flies me out to meet Barack Obama, and then he flies me out to, and all of that stuff. And that might seem improbable, but so is the first thing that I said. So if I'm going to bet on an improbable thing, let me just focus on the improbable one that motivates me, rather than being the improbable one that holds me back inside. And, again, I don't know that this helps right now in that instance, but if you, with practice, this 3-question thing, what's the story I'm telling myself? Is this story serving me? And is there a better story that I can tell myself? Can break down any negative mental self-talk that I'm having, because in reality, all of these things that mess with our confidence, that mess with us, are just fictionalizations of things that might happen in the future. And again, it's a safety mechanism. Our brain is like that. It's always going to be like, well, just in case, got a better safe than sorry. But that's not the case. Again, that scenario where I said I mess up and everything and I get fired and blah 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 blah. That's about a 1 in a billion% possibility that things work out that way. So why am I spending so much of my, as we said in the beginning, finite mental energy on something that's probably not going to happen? And I have to understand that I do have a choice in this matter, right? I'm thinking it. I'm just thinking things. I can control my thoughts. So if I can think a negative thing, I can think a positive thing just as easily.
Thank you so much. And yes, I like those 3 points strategy. And sometimes building a confidence is not one night work. You
Right.
need to work on yourself. Let's say for myself, like having the podcast in the first day was very difficult, but as soon as you practice, it's getting much easier. That's the same with presentation, interview, or other stuff.
Right.
Sometimes when you don't have confidence doing something because you don't have enough knowledge, right?
Right.
So you can't go to the exam if you don't have enough knowledge
Right.
and you pass the exam. It's impossible.
For sure. I
Yeah.
think that's a huge one too, is education. Personally, when I was a personal trainer, when I first started, I knew nothing about personal training. They just hired me, and like I had no confidence because I was like I literally didn't know what I was doing. So I was like, it wasn't even like a lack of confidence that wasn't real. Like I didn't know what I was doing. And the way I got around that was like I decided to educate myself and become the best trainer I could so that I could speak confidently about these things, because I was like, that's the only way that I'll be able to present myself to a client confidently, is like if I know that I know. They might not know that I know what I'm talking about, but I need to know that I know what I'm talking about. So educating myself was a huge part of it. And as you said, this is stuff that it takes weeks and months and years, not minutes and days. And it's a constant work in progress. I'm not perfectly, I'm sure there are times when I'm not perfectly confident either. And even though I work on this stuff and I teach this stuff, so for anyone listening, I always just say that like this is human nature. Yeah, right. There's a reason that they say that a fear of public speaking is the largest fear among all humans, right? Because there's something deep inside of us, deep inside of our psyche, that tells us that like we have to be afraid of stuff like that. So you're fighting an uphill battle, but that doesn't mean that it can't be won.
Thank you so much for being here, Paul. I hope I have you in more summits and other opportunities.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. Please subscribe to Ponta Calho Transition channel and order my book, The Gap, in Amazon. Thank you.